This is a mock interview conducted by Forum IAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent academicians, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
Please come. Vaibhav, please sit down. So, Vaibhav, you didn't say good morning to anybody?
Sir, good morning, sir.
All right, good morning. So, Vaibhav, I see that you had passed out your engineering in 2013. And thereafter, you had tried civil services 7 times.
Yes, sir.
Anytime you could reach up to the level of interview?
Yes, sir.
कितनी बार आपके?
So 2017, I reached interview. Yes.
अच्छा, then what happened? Why couldn't you make it?
Sir, I had lower marks in essay and GS. Scores were lower, on the lower side.
And how many marks did you obtain in your interview?
Sir, I obtained 140 marks in my interview.
All right. Okay. So, do you think that you got less marks, or you got appropriate marks, or you got high marks in
So,
interview?
I got appropriate marks as I performed.
So, tell me, you are already working for Indian Oil for quite some time.
Yes.
And Indian Oil is a damn good organization. It's a very well managed organization. So, why do you want to quit that and join civil services when you will not have the benefit of your age?
Yes, sir. First reason I started UPSC preparation in 2015, it was because of this social prestige we get in society, and because of I wanted to make my family proud. But in 2016, my brother was kidnapped from Panipat Refinery Township, and that was such a existential crisis for my family. And because of intelligent, smart IPS officer, my family was saved, my brother was saved. And then I realized that was a crucial inspiration for me to aspire for more for civil services, sir. So that is my basic reason.
So, पिछले 7 बार में क्यों नहीं why couldn't you make it?
Sir,
What is going wrong?
Sir, it's like first is number one is time. There is time shortage because of my work hours.
Your job.
Yeah. And second is, sir, there is some problem in my strategies also, sir. Because I do get less time, so my strategies are very short term. It's like I study for 1 month and I give prelims, and I study for 2 months and I give mains. So that is, I think, the long term strategy is lacking, sir.
And how have you been doing in philosophy?
So philosophy, I have been doing good, sir.
All right. I observed that you had gone to Valley of Flower trekking.
Yes, sir.
That's the only trek you did?
No, sir. I went in Keelong also. Keelong I did tracks. In Rishikesh also I have done tracks, sir. Rishikesh.
ऋषिकेश में कौन सा ट्रैक होता?
Sir, there is a simple track from Rishikesh to Neelkant, Mahadev.
That is no track.
We can walk, and there is a walk of 14 kilometers.
That's fine. So basically a walk and not a trek.
You can say, sir.
All right, okay. So what did you learn in Valley of Flower trek?
From learning perspective, the calmness, the soothness.
No, that is your enjoyment. But what did you learn?
I learned how to be in the crowd. I learned how to manage a team of 25 people. When we go to adventurous place, we try to do adventures in a group of 25, and how to manage those 25 people. We do manage.
So tell me, did you face any challenge when you had gone to Valley of Flower and you were the leader?
Yes, sir.
Please narrate that.
Number one challenge is to acclimatize people and to make them aware of the safety and the challenges of the mountains. So it's like at that top, the oxygen levels are low, and the group has.
What is the maximum altitude when you go to Valley of Flower?
Sir, in Valley of Flowers track, we had Hemkund Sahib. There we went, and it is like 15. I do not remember the exact. 30 to 100 meters the height is.
So you have 10,000 feet only.
Yes, sir.
And not 15,000.
No, sir, not 15,000. So the number one is safety.
So the level of oxygen is not so low. Yeah, it is little low, but not so low.
Yes, sir. The people who come to track, they are very in the idealistic milieu where people don't walk, people don't do things. Then they just try to have an adventure and they just come to Valley of Flowers kind of track, and that is moderate to difficult track, sir.
So what you are trying to say that you learned some lessons in leadership.
Yes, sir.
All right, but you did not tell me about the challenges. Did you find any challenge that somebody was falling down or something like that, some
Yes, sir.
accident?
Safety challenges are always there. People do come with sport shoes, and we always try to say that you don't come with sport shoes. You have very good shoes which you can buy from stores like Decathlon. You can do that things. So those things we have to make sure earlier also, and then during the phase of tracking also, that this is the problem you are doing. So don't do this. Sometimes people overdo things. Sometimes people do.
Can you
overdo
name
adventures.
some 2-3 good tracks in Uttarakhand?
Yes, sir. Har Ki Doon track is very good.
Okay, where is it?
I don't exactly remember.
Have you been to Har Ki Doon?
No, sir. I have not been. I'm aspiring to go there. And I'm not getting the time.
Mm-hmm.
And number one is this. Number two, Kheer Ganga track is also good. Very Kheer Ganga track. It is in Himachal Pradesh, but it is low to moderately difficult. And third, I would suggest Dayara Bugyal track, sir.
Dayara Bugyal.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Dayara Bugyal, that is also very good, sir.
The number one track in Uttarakhand,
Yes,
or rather in the country today, is Kedarkanta.
Kedarkantha, yes, sir. That is also very good, sir. It's a snow track, sir, where we go on in snow.
It's a winter track. It's
Yes.
more popular for winter trekking.
Yes, winter.
Do you know any idea about the altitude of Kedarkanta?
No, sir. No.
All right. You have also written that you have done a project called coal gasification.
Yes.
Tell me what exactly is this and how can we harness coal gasification in this country?
Sir, there are underground coal. We have underground coal, and what we do is we gasify it in underground only, and we try to make CO plus H2 producer gas out of it, and then we can process CO plus H2 into our fuel. It's basically kind of fuel only, sir. So we try to gasify it, and
That
why?
is one.
Yes,
And
sir.
other than that, any industrial usage
Yes,
of
sir.
coal gasification in any other plant?
So because of our coal variety, our variety of coal is
Poor.
on little higher ash content, and that is why we need processing before using. So, and that is why we are lacking in coal. That is why we are importing coal, sir, because we lack.
No, that's
good
fine.
coal.
I was talking about coal gasification.
Yes, sir.
Has this process been utilized in any industry?
Till today, I guess not, sir, because it's
Not today.
It's a
If you go to
technical process.
Angul, JSPL is using it in a big way.
Sir, I'm not aware of, sir.
All right, okay. You had taken Buddhist philosophy.
Yes.
If I ask you to compare Buddhism versus Jainism, how will you compare?
So, Buddhism is a philosophy where both philosophies are basically trying to make sure that people are awakened from the dukkha that they are facing. However, both have different models to it. Jainism faces a more pluralistic side where they say that every side has a truth of its own. And Buddhism says in a different manner.
No, I couldn't get it. Say it again. Suppose I'm an illiterate person. You have to tell me what exactly is Jainism.
Yes, sir. So, Jainism argues with an example of blind man and elephant. So, if there is an elephant and there are 5 blind people, so each blind blind person can touch a significant portion of elephant.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
And when they touch a tail, and they will say that this is a tail.
No,
and
that's
it's
fine.
absolutely.
We all know about this story.
Yes.
Now come to the crux.
So,
What does it teach?
So the crux is a reality can have manifestations. The reality can have different viewpoints.
This
And
is
we
what
see-
even Buddha says.
Yes,
That it is a half-filled glass or half-filled glass or it is a half-empty glass.
So Buddha differs in the perspective because they try to focus on momentariness. They want people to understand that this life is momentary and we will die after this, and you have to live this life in a very good manner. So they argue against Jainism in a way where Jainism goes for rebirth, Jainism goes for otherworldliness, Jainism goes for Shuddha-shila. But Buddhism in the instance argues about this worldliness and not any nirvana after the death, but nirvana here in this life only.
So that means Jainism is closer to Hinduism.
Yeah, you may say so.
So why Jainism could not flourish? On the other hand, Buddhism flourished and it has reached many parts of the world.
So Jainism propagates a very ascetic life where we have to do severe penance, and that is very difficult for common man, sir. Whereas Buddhism argues for a moderate path, for a madhyam marg in each and every field. For example, they give Ashtang marg. So in there, they try to have a moral life where of moderate phase. But Jainism, on the other hand, argues a very ascetic, a very
No, but that is
penaceful.
only extreme.
Yes,
A whole lot of my friends who are Jains, they
Yes,
are
sir.
not ascetic.
Yes, sir.
So their life is not difficult.
Sir, I agree, sir. I completely agree because there are
You
various
see,
versions of
एक तो है कि
Jainism.
जो एक्सट्रीम पे उन्होंने कहा कि साहब आप सब चीज छोड़ के और आप कपड़े भी आप निकाल दीजिए एंड देन यू टेक केयर ऑफ सम अदर पाथ बट दैट हैपेंस ओनली फॉर मे बी 0.1% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन
Yes, sir.
the other who are still the followers of Jainism they can continue.
So the essence of Jainism, the following essence of Jainism is difficult. Following essence of Buddhism is pretty easier compared to Jainism, sir.
All right, okay, thank you very much, please.
Thank you, sir.
Vaibhav.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Vaibhav, your optional is philosophy. Okay. Existentialism is one of the important branches of Western philosophy. So, any important existential philosopher that you relate to?
Sir, I relate to Heidegger, sir.
Heidegger. And why do you relate to him?
So Heidegger argues for life here, and he says that you have to, if you want to live this life peacefully and very authentically, so he argues that you have to live beside graveyards. So you have to think that, yeah, the death is near, and we have to improve this life so that the death does not consume us. So there only I faced an existential crisis in my life that I told you earlier, my brother's kidnapping, and there I realized that yes, we have to live this life up to our own potential. We should live this life up to our own potential, sir.
Okay, fine. That's good. So, Vaibhav, whenever we talk about Indian philosophy or Indian civilization, the term mythology is used a lot, whereas increasingly we are find historical references through excavations and also newer texts that the incidents which have happened in our timeline, they are most likely to be true. So why do we continue to call it mythology and not history?
Sir, there are evidences, but we are not sure that still exist. There are evidences that they might exist, but there is no surety, sir, still. That is why still we say that it is a mythology.
The government of Haryana has commenced a research project on discovering the paleo channel of the Saraswati River, which is quite important as it is a historical river. What do you think of the project? How is it going to improve our understanding of our civilization?
I do not recall any specific things about the project, but I do realize that such projects are necessary to make the overall public realize that, yeah, we are a civilizational state and we are Indians first, and this is why we are Indians, because we are having a civilization from past so many years. So that is why it's important.
Good. So, Vaibhav, you are currently working in Indian Oil. The government has decided to go ahead with the privatization of BPCL. And however, it is a well-performing company. It pays a lot in terms of dividends to the government of India. So, do you think it is the right time to go for its privatization, or it is not a wise decision to do so right now?
So I think it is a right time. And why? Because government has recently proposed a disinvestment policy where government has argued that government has no business to win business. So from that argument, we can realize that energy is a sector where the private organization can do better because they can have more expertise, more professionalism, because they work on basic tenet of competition rather than working for social welfare. So in that respect, BPCL should be privatized, and for social welfare related things, government will always have Indian Oil Corporation Limited. So we can have one company in one industry where other can be privatized, and so that Indian Oil can also benefit from the competition that we have in energy sector.
So Vaibhav, our road and transport minister, he has advocated the use of green hydrogen very recently. So, what do we understand by green hydrogen?
So the green hydrogen means hydrogen that is formed by green energy. So green energy can be renewables such as solar, wind, such as.
And what is the time frame that you think in which green hydrogen can become a sustainable source of fuel for people?
So as transport minister said, I think 10 to 15 years will be required, and we have to do extensive research and development and extensive propagation of green hydrogen.
So, Vaibhav, you have also mentioned reading about philosophy of God. So, in that there is always a discussion about the comparison between monotheism and polytheism, right? So, and if we see the history of Middle Ages, we have seen many wars related to religion. So, do you think that the concept of monotheism, because as we have seen in Europe and Middle East, the concept of monotheism actually cultivates radicalism?
So, concept of monotheism is obviously towards an absolutist side, where they say that this is my reality and this is my God and this is only right. Whereas polytheism argues for different perspectives and different rights. So, in that perspective, there has been always a debate between monotheism and polytheism.
Okay.
However, from past, since several ages, we have been seeing a lot of wars, and that is because of the particular concept of religion, where we use religion as a state method to invigorate emotive component in people. So as we try to use religion in our state policies, these wars tend to happen, sir. In basic Hinduism, we have tried that religion and state remain separate spheres, and state does not try to go into religion does not try to go into state.
Okay. One last question, Vaibhav.
Yes,
A lot of people are professing to atheism these days, right? Do you think somebody can be a moral person while being an atheist? Because every religion, somewhere or the other, tries to instill a moral framework in a person. So, if a person is an atheist, do you think he or she can be morally upright as well?
Yes, sir, definitely. Because as philosophers and thinkers have argued, atheism is also a kind of religion. And in our Indian context, where we say religion is equal to dharma, dharma is a concept where dharma will only bring peace, and whatever things which do not bring peace is adharma. So basically, atheism, if it brings peace, then it is also a kind of religion, and various thinkers have argued that it's a kind of religion only, sir.
Okay, thank you, Vaibhav.
So,
Vaibhav, you are from Jaipur.
right.
Why it is called Pink City?
I'm sorry, but I do not know the exact need of it, the reason. But we do have pink walls. We do have the city is colored in pink. That is why I think it's a pink city. But I do not know the exact reasons.
Okay. BTech is a 4 years program or 5 years program.
So 4 years.
So from 2007 you did 12th and BTech completed in 2013. Why this is 7 years?
No,
6
sir.
years?
So 2009 I started my BTech, and till 2013. 2008 and 2009 I was preparing for IIT, sir.
So Vaibhav, you are a chemical engineer.
Yes.
Okay. So you did our project over coal gasification. What is coal gasification?
So if we gasify coal and we try to form producer gas CO plus H2, that is coal gasification, sir.
Coal is a renewable source of energy or non-renewable source of
So
energy.
non-renewable.
So what is the shell gas? You know shell gas? What is shell gas?
So shell gas are the pockets in sedimentary basins. There are small pockets where small amount of gas is there, and we try to fracking and we try to extract small pockets of gases from there. So that is.
So what is the scope of shell gases in the recent future?
So in recent future in India, it has been on research phase, but in US obviously US become the largest producer of shale gas, and there by technology has arisen where we can have shale gas as our oil. We do not have appropriate oil, so 85% of energy needs we
No.
have oil.
What is the scope of shell gas over non-renewable and renewable sources of energy? because there is a term called energy crisis in India in terms of near future. So what do you think? Shale gas will mitigate the demand of non-renewable and renewable source of energy?
Sir, on larger scale, shale gas cannot meet the demand because India has going through a water crisis also. And in shale gas we need a lot of water. So I don't think so in long term it is feasible to go for shale gas. In short to medium term we can go for shale gas, but in long term we must go for renewables.
We are planning to get energy from thunderstorm. Do you know?
No, sir.
The thunderstorm is also a source of energy, and we are planning to get energy from thunderstorm. Do you know?
I have not read it.
Okay. Vaibhav, what is pollution and what is pollutant?
So pollutants, there are pollutants such as particulate matter, which do pollute the environment. Pollutants can be from water, from air, from noise. There can be several pollutants. Pollutants create pollution. Pollution is a term which is very broad, which argues for lack of good environment in our vicinity.
Can we say the unfavorable changes or unwanted changes in a particular things like water, air, and soil, that is called pollution?
Yes, sir. That would be correct definition.
Give some examples of chemical pollutant.
Ozone, which we form in because of our vehicular emissions, we form ozone. That is an example of chemical pollutant. And volatile organic compounds are also an example of chemical pollutants.
Slugs are recently in the news
Yes.
for a reason of chemical pollution. What are slugs?
No, sir, I have a very little idea.
Is there still using of chemical weapons?
Yes, sir, they are used.
अभी भी use हो रहा है.
Yes, sir.
But there was a treaty of non-propagation or formation of chemical weapon in 2005.
Yes.
Then,
So legal use of chemical weapons is prohibited, but political dispensations do use these weapons for political purposes. Sir.
do you think COVID was an biological weapon?
In my opinion, it is a debate where
No, I am just asking your opinion.
I don't think so. Sir.
Okay. What is India's clean energy program?
India has given a Panchamrit program where we are trying to go for renewables and we are trying to defocus on energy sector from fossil fuels to non-fossil fuel based energy. And that is where we are starting clean energy programs.
Okay. And your hobbies is reading about philosophy of God. Do you have ever watched Mahabharata or Ramayana?
Yes, sir, in childhood.
What are the basic differences in Mahabharata and Ramayana?
So the basic difference is the God which is trying
What you
to
learn
propagate.
from Mahabharata and what you learn from Ramayana?
So both are mythologies. Ramayana argues for Adarsh and idealism basically,
Okay.
and Mahabharata argues for realism. In Ramayana, Ram is Adarsh Purushottam. In Mahabharata, Shri Krishna is Leela Purushottam. Mahabharata argues for different perspectives. Mahabharata argues for dharma, and in Ramayana, it also argues for dharma, but again in a different idealistic fashion.
Okay. Thank you.
Vaibhav, Meena,
Yes.
right? You have studied philosophy as your optional. There have been many vads
Yes.
in India, in Indian philosophy. Can you just help me understand all of them?
So war in which context, sir?
Like, not wars, vads.
I'm not able to understand. Sir.
Okay. Dualism, non-dualism,
Yes, sir.
monism,
Yes.
etc. So can you help me understand that?
So in Indian philosophy, there have been various proponents like Charvak, like Sankhya Darshan, like Vedanta Darshan, and each darshan is trying to give its own way of Vedas. They are basically trying to interpret Vedas in their different manner. Where Advaita Vedanta says that there is only one God, that is Brahma. Where Charvak does not. Basically, Charvak criticizes Vedanta and Advaita and basically Shad Darshan they criticize, and they try to say that there is no Vedas which have been made by God. They have been made by Dhurt priest. These are two proponents, sir. In Vedanta also, in In Shad Darshan of Hinduism also there are various proponents such as Sankhya, they believe in dualism, sir. They try to
Can you
focus
tell me
on.
what is Advaitvad?
So Advaitvad, through Advaitvad, Adi Shankaracharya says that there is only one God, there is only one Brahma, which we cannot describe, which we cannot say. So he argues that it is Niti Niti, not this, not this. So Advaitvad means only one God. Sir.
And what is Vishisht Advaitvad?
Vishisht Advaitvad was given by Ramanuj. Ramanuj argued for a Sagun Brahma entity, whereas Adi Shankaracharya argued for Nirgun Brahma. In Sagun Brahma, he tries to propagate a thought where the God is diverse, where God believes in diversity also, God gives diversity also, and God gives unity also. So thereby, Ramanujacharya gives a concept of Sagun Brahma, which is Vishishta Advaitvad.
And what is Advaitvad?
So it is given by Madhavacharya, and it is different from Adi Shankaracharya and Ramanujan in a way that it focuses more on diversity. They say that we are different. Human and humans are different. Humans and materials are matter is different, and humans and God is different. Sir.
Do you think because of the existence of so many philosophies, so many thought processes, Indian unity intellectually is somewhere lacking? We do not have a national vision because we keep on debating on philosophies, we keep on debating on different visions. That is the reason we have not been able to develop a singular vision for our nation.
I agree slightly, sir, with this point because Indian philosophy has been Indian in thought. It is because of geographical diversity that India has. And in various regions of India, we have developed different types of philosophy. It is because of the geography that we have had since then. And because from top to bottom, India has different geography and we have developed different thoughts of philosophies.
Okay. What is Stoicism?
Sir, exact definition I would not be able to say, sir.
Okay. Western philosophy is a footnote to Plato. What do you think about it?
I think it is said rightly, sir, because Plato argues for essentialism, Plato argues for matter also, Plato argues for everything what we can think. Plato gives the definition of love, Plato gives polity also, Plato gives each and everything that we can think of, sir.
So do you think if we study Plato, we need not study other Western philosophers?
No, sir. If we study Plato, then there are several things that are lacking in Plato and that are criticized by subsequent philosophers such as Aristotle. And till Hegel, people have been criticizing about Plato. But again, studying philosophy, first you have to study Plato. What did he say? So he said a lot of things.
You have worked in Indian Oil Corporation Limited. As we know that India is switching from fossil fuels to renewables. What is the strategy being followed by Indian Oil Corporation as a company to adapt to this new reality?
Indian Oil as a company has a motto of Pehle Indian Fir Oil. So oil comes second and India comes first. And through this motto only we are going into renewables, we are going into solar energy. We have installed 232 megawatt of solar energy in our plants where we are using solar energy. Number two, sir, we are going into hydrogen. We are making green hydrogen. Number three, we are not focusing on fossils as much as we used to focus earlier. Now we are venturing into petrochemicals so that the petrol, diesel that we are going to save, that we are not going to use, that we can convert into petrochemicals, plastic industry basically. So we are venturing into different fields to explore other options and make India proud from energy company perspective, sir.
A lot of global MNCs are announcing their net zero targets. Has any Indian company also followed the suit?
I don't know, sir. I have no idea.
Do you think IOCL should?
Yes, sir, definitely it should.
Okay. What are the different challenges in the work culture of IOCL that you faced?
So, number one, I think in Indian Oil Corporation, the hierarchies are too much, sir. So, from where I am and from where I can reach the maximum position, it is 12 steps ahead me. So the 12 steps are converted into 3, 4 years of promotion. And in that step, I realize that there is a difference of opinion that creates. For example, if I work in a very good manner, but I will be given APR from 6th position from myself. It's like CGM is going to give me APR and my work will not be propagated to CGM in that appropriate manner in which I am working. So it's like there are 4 levels in between which try to manipulate their own thought in a different perspective to CGM, and the real perspective is not propagated to CGM. And in case CGM also is not, it's not, they also don't know, because there are so many officers, they are not connected directly to the officers on ground, sir. So I think hierarchy should be cut down, it should be minimized, not as such, but significant power difference should be there between hierarchies, sir. I agree with civil services perspective because there is significant power difference in each and every hierarchy, that I realize, sir. Second, I would say the staff culture. Staff is recruited in individual refineries from individual states, sir. I think it should be done for all India basis. Why? Because staff comes with a mindset to live in Haryana only. They don't have a mindset where they see themselves as Indian. They see themselves as Haryani. They are trying. I'm not able to say them that okay, fine, we don't have that rewards and punishment system, sir. So I can punish them because they are not doing work. So that is the problem I'm facing.
Don't you think it is natural that people like to stay close to their home?
Yes, sir.
A lot of civil servants also feel their home state as their first preference.
Yes, definitely.
So if
That too for the staff. Staff means what? Class 3 and class 4 employees only, no?
Yes.
So
What is
if
wrong?
you expect class 3 and class 4 employees to work in Cochin, though they come from say Haryana, it will be rather difficult.
Yes, sir. It will be difficult, sir, but for the greater good of nation, we should, sir.
Thank you. Okay, tell me, what is fiscal deficit?
So fiscal deficit is the balance between revenue and expenditure is fiscal deficit, sir.
Okay. So what if our revenue is not equal to our expenditure?
So if it is not equal to our expenditure, then we'll go in deficit, sir.
Okay. So how do you think the operations of IOCL impact the fiscal deficit of India? What are the different channels through which it can impact?
Sir, IOCL is an energy company which is basically in infrastructure sector. Through taxing IOCL products, through taxing energy products, the state is taking so many taxes. For example, excise. Till today, we have gone into 27 lakh crore basically, and that is why, because of taxing energy products. So we are getting excise duties, we are getting each and everything. If the petrol and diesel prices are high, it is because of taxes, sir. So we are reducing our fiscal deficit through taxing more energy products, sir.
Okay. What is inflation?
So inflation is rise in prices of any commodity which is done from a base year, sir.
Okay. How is inflation measured in India?
So inflation is measured through 2 types, wholesale price index and consumer price index. So we have an index where we have commodities of products, where we see that each commodity, how it is progressing through prices, and there through some total of them we measure inflation, sir.
Okay, my last question. You are a philosophy student. Comment on life is nothing but an increase in entropy.
So this comment is scientific in nature, sir, because this comment comes from second law of thermodynamics, and it suits philosophy in a way that philosophy also talks about entropy. Philosophy also talks about life which is expanding. Buddhism talks about such life. Buddhism gives an example of river, where river is fast flowing, and each river component lives in its movement, and through that river is flowing, sir. So I would say so this statement is correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vaibhav. We had a very nice interaction with you. And you have got a very good personality. You are already working with Indian Oil for quite some time. And you are basically an engineer. Unfortunately, you appeared civil services 7 times and you have not been able to make it so far. We would like you to be in the civil services with your demeanor, with your achievements, and with your intellect. However, I would only point out few shortcomings. Number one is that somehow in your answers, you do not show or exhibit a very passionate kind of a response.
I do realize, sir.
It's a highly bureaucratic and devoid of any passion or happiness kind of thing. It's without any modulation in voice. And many a times, in many places, I observed that you were exhibiting a personality which is little negative in nature. Like many times you were using your shoulder like this. Don't do that. So that is one part. Secondly, you had to work on your dad. Though you have mentioned about trekking, but you should be a master trekking. Otherwise, एक बार आप कहीं वहाँ चले गए क्या नाम है Valley of Flower, that is not trekking. That does not exhibit interest in trekking. Trekking means you must have done at least 8-10 treks kind of thing. So since you are not gone on 8-10 treks, you find out what are all these treks, कहाँ कर सकते हैं, क्या altitude है, क्या flora and fauna है kind of thing. And as you said, Hakidun and say Kedarkantha, they are very nice treks, supposed to be very, very good.
Yes.
And I come from that place. Not come, but I got an orchard over there at Sankri, which is a place from where you go to Harkidun as well as to Kedarkantha. And I've been to Kailash Mansarovar also. Those are the treks.
I agree, sir.
And not 9,000-10,000 treks are very small treks unless you go almost every year or every second year, that kind of thing. Secondly, even coal gasification, your knowledge should be up to the mark.
Yes, sir. I was not aware.
And you have mentioned that you have done a project in coal gasification. So you know exactly where can you make, who all are using coal gasification, what are the advantages
Right, sir.
in producing. When you say that you are producing gas, why can't you make use of CNG
Agree,
or natural gas kind of thing directly? Then even in case of Buddhism versus Jainism and philosophy, you should be a little more clear because you are taking philosophy as your subject. And then you are written that you are interested in the philosophy of God, something like that. So you should be very clear exactly what you are talking about.
Exactly. What is the difference between?
Absolutely. So if somebody is asking you what is the difference between say, Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism or Islam or Jainism, that it should be 100% clarity.
Yes, sir.
So otherwise you are a one fantastic candidate and I wish you all the very best and do very well. All right. Take care.
Vaibhav, I think you are well prepared, right? You are positive, that's a good aspect. But as sir mentioned, I also realized that your voice modulation is pretty monotonous, right? Whether it's a question related to your hobbies or your home state or your experience in BPC, IOC. So the kind of enthusiasm is somewhere missing. That's what I felt. So that is something that you can look at. Your interview is on 29th, right?
So I deliberately chose this way because I want it to be safe also. I don't want to be over enthusiastic about it.
See, the wise thing to do in this is that when you are talking about your hobbies, you can be a bit more participative and enthusiastic. That fine, I went on a trek and it was it made me realize this and it has so many benefits and all. So you can be a little bit participative. I'm not saying that you should not like skip the other person and start speaking. Not
Yes,
like that, but you can be participative. When you are talking about Rajasthan, you can say that as sir asked about why it is called Pink City. So if you don't know, it's fine, but you may be knowing some other fact related to Rajasthan. If some other fact is asked, so then when you answer, you can answer it with enthusiasm that fine, it is related to Rajasthan. So that approach you can maintain. Otherwise, it will become monotonous, and when it becomes monotonous, what happens is that the board members tend to ask factual questions, which is not exactly a measure of your personality because you may know some facts, you may not know. So the thing is that to engage the board, you need to be a bit more participative. Okay.
I agree.
All
I'll
the
implement that point.
Yes. All the
सब ठीक है वैभव, थोड़ा सा चेहरे पे मुस्कान मिलाओ, एकदम कंटिन्यू सीरियस रहे,
हाँ, exactly.
है ना, थोड़ा सा ऐसा होना चाहिए. दूसरा आपने जो डीएफ है थोड़ा उस पर फोकस करिए. जो आप जहाँ से बिलोंग करते हैं उसके बारे में आपको अच्छे से पता होना चाहिए, आपने जहाँ काम किया है वहाँ के बारे में आपको अच्छे से नॉलेज होना चाहिए, उससे रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन बनते हैं।
राइट।
ठीक है, थोड़ा सा करंट एस्पेक्ट में जो भी हमारा चल रहा है उसको भी जानने की कोशिश करिए। ठीक है, बाकी सब ठीक है।
थैंक यू।
God bless.
And secondly, I just wanted to have one clarification. Do you really think there are 6 levels in Indian Oil for giving you the grading?
No, sir, not 6. I would say 9. 9 would be appropriate, sir.
No. You said that your evaluation will be done at 6 levels.
Yes, sir. CGM does my evaluation, sir. CGM writes
So
my
when
APR.
you write your ATR,
Yes, sir.
so this will go to 6 people.
Yes, sir. It goes through 6 people, sir.
So I worked in oil, but I never.
So now they have increased the hierarchy, sir. Now from A0, I am at C position, sir, and there are 3 positions down from me, and there are like 9 positions up from me, sir. So
No, 9 position तो आपसे ऊपर हो सकते हैं, but
Yes, sir.
what I'm trying to say that when your annual performance,
yes,
that is evaluated by 6 levels.
sir. Each level, yes, sir. It goes through each level, sir.
Means I would start from where sir was saying that whenever you are asked to analyze your present company, you don't have to go. You have to be very specific and measured
Yes,
in
sir.
its criticism.
From hierarchy, that point I extended.
So
Right,
I
right.
think instead of viewing there's too much hierarchy, you can say just they can perhaps rationalize the system.
Yes.
So
I-
you have to be careful. Secondly, I would prefer that you think about it and then go to the interview.
Yes.
About what you think about the company. You are manager, so management related questions. What is wrong with the company management? What is right with the company? How its management is different from other oil PSUs.
Yes.
For example, I don't think कि I think BPCL में vertical wise है. IOCL में vertical wise नहीं है. I think there is a-
नहीं, same है, sir.
So you can look into that management structure also and formulate your opinion.
Yes.
Secondly, I felt that some of the questions that you knew, you immediately started answering, and from the way you answered, I could make that he has prepared for this question and he hasn't prepared for this question. So that should not be there. And thirdly, I would like you to be more analytical. For example, when I asked you that how IOCL can impact fiscal deficit. So even though I asked you what is fiscal deficit, you said revenue and expenditure. So you told me the revenue channel, that government taxes the products, but you didn't tell me the expenditure channel, that government subsidizes it, government gives it subsidies, government invests it also, and then the government also receives dividends,
Yes.
and the government can also disinvestment it. So if you can think more analytically in such questions, especially when they are related to economy and inflation and these and many things, then I think it is going to create a greater charm for the interview panel. Otherwise, I think you have a very confident voice. You were able to articulate your opinion very clearly, in a clear voice and in a good speed of language. So I think these points go in your very much favor. And if you can build on what panel members have said, then you have a very fine chance. So I think all the best from my side.
Thanks.
All the best, Vaibhav.
Thank you, sir.